Man, what a very satisfying weekend of Milan football. We win versus Lazio this weekend and we go top of the table thanks to Napoli, who beat Roma, which was really nice. So, this game versus Lazio was very tense, especially in the first half. Milan struggled a lot to kind of break the lines and really beat that Lazio pressing system. And for Lazio's credit, they did their homework. I thought they were cutting off really good passing lanes and really preventing dangerous buildup for Milan to kind of work with, right? We really struggled in that first half to create really any threatening opportunities, to be completely honest. And I feel like there was a lot of times where Lazio did give us a tough time and it was looking a little bit dodgy at certain points. But I think the turning point really came in the second half. Just a really nice combination of passes on that right hand side involving Tomori. And Tomori kind of at this right back spot, I think you could definitely see him, but most definitely it is more right center back. But somehow, some way, he kind of found himself in that final third. But surprisingly, delivers in a very, very nice ball to Rafael Leão, who is at the back post, and he converts it. So before I wanted to go on, I wanted to kind of talk about Leão a little bit because, right, I think there was a lot of pressure on him in this game specifically, especially because no Pulisic because he was injured, unfortunately, which is getting kind of old with this Cole like kind of Pulisic injury kind of business. But regardless of the fact is Leão in this match was absolutely sensational. I thought he had one of his best games this season, kind of not really like coming up like constantly, but in kind of big moments. I feel like in this one, he made the most of his opportunity, right? Right place, right time. He showed composure and good positioning inside the box. And Allegri at the end of the game, he was talking about how Rafael Leão in this role was something similar to what we saw him versus Lille, right? Or rather at Lille. So I think it's important to kind of look at this, I guess, Rafa game to kind of be like one of the blueprints on how maybe we could get the best out of Rafa this year. Because I think finishing under that kind of pressure kind of speaks volumes and him growing mature in this role. So I'm really liking Rafael Leão kind of in these last couple games. And he is now top goal scorer in Serie A, right? Five goals this season so far for Rafa is really, really good. So I'm really happy with kind of how Rafa's been developing under Allegri. And you see that relationship between the two of them. I think they have definitely created that bond, right, from coach to player. And I feel like Allegri is really trying his best to kind of get Leão out of that shell and to kind of get him out of his comfort zone, because there's been loads of times where Rafa has been saying, this isn't a position I like to play. I like to be a little bit isolated out wide on the wing, but Allegri keeps persisting, but Leão keeps scoring. So I think that's kind of the one of the bigger takeaways I think in this game is just seeing how much maturity Rafael Leão has gotten under this Max Allegri team, this system, and everything like that. From that moment when Leão scored, Milan looked way more confident, right? There was even that one moment where Fofana dribbled damn near the whole length of the pitch. And of course, in typical Fofana fashion, just completely whiffs the ball, just completely misses it. And I feel like that just tells you all you need to know about what type of player Fofana is. Regardless, yeah, Milan looked a lot more confident. They were pushing up and they forced Lazio into a lot of mistakes. And I think that really began to create a lot more legitimate chances for Milan to double the lead. And I think that one Fofana chance was probably one of the biggest opportunities we had to at least get another one. But yeah, defensively and in goal, Milan were so good. I'm so happy that we got a clean sheet. And I love these 1-0 wins because not only does it give you a clean sheet, it just makes me feel a lot more solidified. Oddly enough, even though it's a 1-goal lead, but man, Maignan coming up with more and more important saves early in this game to keep a clean sheet. And man, the type of form that Maignan is on is really, really helpful because it's like you see when you have a confident and good goalkeeper, it literally gives you 3 points. Like I think having a goalkeeper is just as important as having a goal scoring striker or something like that, because versus Inter we don't win that game, right? Those two massive saves, right? The penalty save and then the save I think that was on Turam, that's 2-1 Inter right there. And right then and there, Milan lose the game, right? 2-1, plain and simple. And in this game as well, I think Lazio had a really big opportunity, but Mike Maignan comes up big again. So, and there's so many comments under Mike Magnan's Instagram post of like the pen and paper emoji or like the pen emoji. That's what Gabbia was doing. So I think it's just kind of goes to show that these players at Milan show and know how important Mike Maignan is to this team. He's the captain at the end of the day. And I mean, look, if he's going to be one of those guys that wins another Scudetto with us, he will go down like probably as one of Milan's best goalkeepers, right? Certainly, I think he's already there. Personally, right? You got your Didas, you got your Donnarummas, you got your Mike Magnans, and you got, obviously the goalkeepers of the past. But regardless of the fact is, look how important Mike Maignan is to this team already. So I think that's kind of just what you kind of need to see. And I feel like Milan had to absorb pressure. We had to defend deep. We have to deal with that VAR drama, and we still stayed composed. So I think that's just kind of showing you that resilience will matter in these upcoming games, in these tight matches, because that's, I think, the mentality Allegri is kind of implementing for these guys to just stay composed and really just lock into these decisive moments, because who knows what would have happened if Lazio, right, got that one other goal, right, or converted some of these chances, right? Who knows? But we stayed composed, we stayed compact, and we stayed defensively solid. So I think that's also just another huge talking point of this season of how good the defense has been. And I feel like, yes, it's so easy to kind of talk good on Milan right now, but truthfully, we're on a really good run right now. We've only lost one game this season. So I think that just shows volumes on where this team was at mentally match day one to now. So big credit to Max Allegri. I tip my hat to you, my friend. You've completely revolutionized this team. On top of that, right, the late drama. I think for me, right, just talking about this penalty, I think it's a penalty. Like, to be completely honest, I think we totally got bailed out right here, because for me, they're saying like there was like a foul in the buildup or something. Personally, I don't think that there was a foul in the buildup. I really think we got away with murder in this one, to be completely honest, because right, the handball, it was Pavlovic, and his arm is like out like this. And I think it's like he's like trying to grab onto him, but like he's at like a weird angle, right? But I think for me, like, this was a handball. And I mean, Allegri got sent off for dissent. And man, this ref cam is an absolute gem of a treat, right, to have this season. And Allegri, he was saying after the game for the VAR controversy, he was saying, damn, every time you're here, shit always happens to the referee, because he was the ref against Cremonese. So I just thought that was so hilarious. I think there was a lot of protests, right, from especially Lazio players as well, which respectfully so. But at the end of the day, penalty is not rewarded. So I think we definitely got away with murder for that one, not gonna lie. I want to talk about something that was also really interesting, and I think it was the midfield plus kind of like the team effort. I think we saw Milan really motivated in this game to just get a result, and I think someone who is very important to this team is Adrian Rabiot, because respectfully, I love Samuel Ricci, but he is just not the type of midfielder that Rabiot is. Rabiot, strong defensive presence while also having really good box-to-box capabilities. For me, Ricci is not that at all. I think he'll probably be more suited as like a Modric role, but respectfully, Ricci is not going to see the light of day as long as Luka Modric is fit. And that pains for me to say, because I want Ricci to really start, especially, Italian tax and everything like that. And we're really starting to see a lot of, Italian talent come out in this Milan team. Matteo Gabbia, solid defender. He has good work rate. He's a solid leader, right? Kind of like, not even like a silent leader at that, right? He doesn't have the captain's armband, but he's a very good presence, right? He has that voice of a captain type material player. And also Davide Bartazaghi, what a player. I love this kid. I'm so happy that we have someone who came from the youth academy, who kind of knows Milan, through and through, and he is putting in good performance after good performance. So Davide Bartazaghi, really want to tip my hat to you. But again, kind of goes back, right? I want Ricci to play, right? Italian tax, and for him to really make a staple in this squad. But unless Luka Modric is fit, Ricci is not seeing the light of day. The defensive line showed a lot of commitment. They helped prevent Lazio from getting into the final third, right? A lot of, pressure really was negated because of the work rate of Milan's midfield. And I feel like they kept the game manageable, especially in those last couple minutes, right? Because you maybe thought that Lazio were going to get something, but I think the midfield really pulled their weight. And I do want to give just a little tiny shout out to Youssef Fofana. I thought this, despite that one crazy miss right after, literally taking the ball from box to box, totally completely missed, but I thought he had a respectable game, right? I don't want to, totally jump on the bandwagon, but I think he's definitely improving very, very slightly. I'm hoping that he kind of continues and builds off of this performance. This Milan team is serious, and I think things to kind of look for and to kind of watch out for is, can Leão keep delivering? Especially, is he more used to kind of a more central striker role, right? Is his confidence going to be key in games, right, with margins like this that are tight? But I think that's something that we really need to kind of look for, especially we don't know how long Pulisic is going to be injured. So can he really kind of take this Milan team by the horns and steer us in the right direction? Because I think he is going to be one of the difference makers in the final third, right? It is nice to have guys like a Salah makers or a Rabiot that can maybe contribute to the scoreline, but I think if we can kind of make Leão a little bit more prominent in this striker role, I think then he can totally keep delivering. And I think being top goal scorer of Serie A, I know he's tied with a bunch of other guys, including Pulisic. I think just kind of having that like in the back of his head to be like, I have potential to be a top goal scorer in Serie A. I think that's something that Rafa can build on. Some that I have in my notes as well. Will Milan manage to convert more of these tight wins into more dominant displays? And I think because it's like, yeah, it is nice, winning, but right, versus Inter, 1-0. Versus Lazio, 1-0. Roma, 1-0. We're losing, or rather we're winning a lot of 1-0s, but Milan definitely builds into the game rather than having a first half that's very strong. And I think we saw that versus Inter, we saw that versus Lazio in this game, and I think versus Roma as well. So I think that does kind of remain a question mark. Can we keep the intensity and just rather bring the intensity into the game from minute number one? I think that's something to kind of look for. And of course, the last thing that I have is the psychological edge, because last year, this Milan team was just completely lost in every single little thing. So many ups and downs, right? And the one thing that just comes to my mind, you beat Real Madrid and you tie to Cagliari. Makes zero sense. So can we kind of keep our head in these big moments where right now we're first place in Serie A, right? Playing one game a week, but it's like that's something we can't control right now. Main focus is you take it game by game. And I think having someone like Allegri is really good to kind of have that, to really keep these players in check. So I think that's kind of just the psychological edge that Milan need to have. Players with grit and, like I said, a coach willing to demand a collective effort to help Milan in the long run. So I think you're getting that right now from this Milan team. So it's just about building on top of that. Those are kind of just like the main things like I want to kind of look for in this Milan team, because for me, those are the ingredients that are in a Scudetto winning team. Leave in the comment section below, how do you think Milan were in this game? How do you think that we managed certain moments in this match? And what do you think about Milan's next upcoming game? We play Torino away. I feel like that's one of the bogey games, right? It's such a difficult match, but let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Ciao, ragazzi.